You once again stepped into the world of survival horror. Good luck. And we are certainly going to need it. Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Biohazard 2 Real Survival. In the last episode, Claire managed to make her way, albeit narrowly, through the gauntlet of the streets and alleyways of Raccoon City, and unfortunately was only somewhat injured by the hordes of zombified citizens that were standing between her and the Raccoon Police Department police station. But now that she is here, she can only hope that Leon has made it as well. And we are ultimately going to have to look for him in order to see whether he made it or not. But if the hordes of undead police officers on the final stretch to the police station were any indication, it would seem that the precinct has suffered the same fate as the city itself, and for good reason. The precinct is actually located pretty much in the center of Raccoon City, so that should really come as a surprise to no one. So, in all honesty, the police station is far from the safe refuge that Claire hoped it was. But even though Claire is somewhat injured, as you can see right here, since she's on yellow caution, she can still run fairly quickly and avoid enemies. As her condition worsens, however, her limp will definitely be the end of her. But as we saw on the police monitor in the main hall, the security system is actually working quite well. So now we know that the doors are electronically locked. I mean, we know that they're locked by the fact that we can't open them, but how Claire would know that they're electronically locked remains to be seen. But then again, this game was made in 1998, so there is that. But there are two doors that are locked. The eastern door that we just visited, and the door leading to the west side of the precinct. These are the only two doors, these two doors are electronically locked, but there is also a third door over here, which appears to be covered in blood. And whether this door is electronically locked is, well, we're going to find out soon enough. But, should explain a few things that, couple of which that I don't think I explained in the first episode. Well, before I do that, I should mention that I have turned down the game volume considerably so that it doesn't drown out the commentary, which was a little bit quiet in the first episode, and for that I apologize. The thing that I was going to talk about is the fact that unlike the original Biohazard, in Biohazard 2 you can't examine items via a 3D model. Instead, there's only a actually pretty realistic looking portrait of the items in question. So if we look at the handgun, we look at the handgun bullets, and so on and so forth. So we get we actually get a pretty realistic portrait of each of the items in question, which is kind of nice, but enough standing around. It's time to brave door number 3. Let's hold our breath and keep our fingers crossed.
Hang in there. Are you the only officer left in the building?
Who are you?
Claire Redfield. I'm looking for my brother Chris.
We lost contact with him over 10 days ago. Chris, Jill, Barry. Every last STARS team member has disappeared. We should have listened to them.
What happened?
About 2 months ago, there was this incident involving these zombie-like creatures. in a mansion located in the outskirts of this city.
Are you-
Chris and the other STARS members discovered that Umbrella was behind everything, at the risk of their own lives. But no one believed them.
Are you okay?
Don't worry about me. Just rescue the survivors in the other rooms. Here, take this key card. You should be able to unlock the doors in the hall with this. Now go.
But...
Just go.
Okay. Just hang in there. I'll be back soon.
Apologies for the sound glitches that occurred. Again, nothing I can do about that. But the police officer in question is Marvin Branagh, the RPD. And despite being heavily wounded, he is actually pretty quick on his feet because he locked that door in a matter of seconds. But he did give us some useful information, as well as this blue key card, or card key I should say. Gate system, Raccoon Police Department, 1990X, 1st of April I think, given the American date system. A plastic card, it reads Hall Electronic Lock. So as Marvin said, the blue key card key actually is what we need to unlock the two doors in the hall, the ones that are locked electronically obviously. But the useful bit of information that he gave us is very useful to Claire, because the STARS are not in Raccoon City anymore. So it stands to reason that, yeah, well, I will say that Claire's search isn't entirely for nothing, because she is worried about Chris and his whereabouts after he vanished. And so, for her, going to Raccoon seemed like the most logical choice given the circumstances. But, if the STARS are no longer in Raccoon City, then, there is basically, one thing that's crossed off of Claire's checklist. Why did I call her Chair? That, she no longer needs to worry about. Of course, now it begs the question that she now actually has to get out of Raccoon City. And it only stands to reason that she won't be getting out the same way that she and Leon came in. Which is, going to be a work in progress, I'm afraid. But it is a necessary evil if we are to survive this ordeal. And what an ordeal it is going to be. Also, should actually mention that there is in fact a ladder up here to the second floor balcony. Unfortunately, it's been raised, so we can't actually access that from down here. But if we do end up going to the second floor, we should be able to lower it, and it actually would be a very nice shortcut. But now that we have the blue card key, we can unlock the hall side doors. Case in point. Door number 1 and door number 2. Hall side door lock released. Marvelous. Now, as with the original Biohazard adventure, we shall be wandering through the west side of the precinct first. Almost said the mansion there for a second, but the mansion is destroyed, even though the precinct is somewhat designed very similarly to the mansion. I wonder if George Trevor was responsible for its architecture. But I am going to go into the west end of the precinct first, and not the east end. We'll be exploring that later. Now, even though this isn't a save room, given the fact that the typewriter is in the main hall, there is something here that's worth noting. The item box in the corner here. The very first item box of Biohazard 2. But unlike the original Biohazard, we aren't lucky enough to get handgun bullets this time around. So I'm going to put away the knife and the ink ribbon, because I will not be taking them with me thus far. And the knife I will never use throughout this entire Let's Play. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is where the real survival aspect of my Biohazard 2 Let's Play will come into effect. The items which I have placed in this item box can only be retrieved from the item box that I have placed them in. Which means if I put something very important in here, like ammunition or a herb for example, I have to get it from this item box. There is no beating around the bush on that one. This is real survival. You learn to live with it. Now, there is a reception desk over here, and there's an office over by the reception desk. The same room that we were in not just 5 seconds ago, which begs the question. Claire should actually be able to talk with Marvin through this reception glass. There is absolutely no reason that she can't do so. Maybe, even though he's very much wounded, quite seriously actually, Marvin and Claire can still communicate with each other through this reception pane here. Again, something that they actually could do at this point, but there is something lying on the bench here by the window, and lo and behold, it's a police memorandum, the first file of Biohazard 2. 23rd of August 1998. Those were better times. This letter is just to inform everyone about the recent movement of equipment that has happened during the precinct's rearrangement. The safe with the 4-digit lock has been moved from the STARS office on the 2nd floor to the Eastern office on the 1st floor. The combination to the safe is 2236. And this memorandum was brought to you by the Raccoon Police Liaison Department. Very useful to know. Also, I know I said the safe with the 4-digit lock has been moved. Of course, the word "the" has been omitted. Yeah, once again, localization, slipping under the radar. Good times. But I will once again say that I will not be exploring the eastern offices of the precinct just yet, especially not in the condition that Claire is in. Speaking of exploration, we have plenty of exploring to do in this room. Nothing out of the ordinary. That's kind of odd of you, Claire, given the fact there is a lot that is out of the ordinary here. And this appears to be a old an old postbox pillar in the middle of a room. Why is this here? I honestly couldn't even begin to tell you. Other than, well, of course, being a postbox, if indeed postbox it is. There doesn't appear to be anything on the files on the wall. And there's a representation of the Raccoon Police Department on the wall here, in case we missed the big depiction on the floor of the main hall, which I'm certain no one did, and no one could for that matter. But more importantly, there is a locked desk in the corner of this room, and since Claire just so happens to have a lockpick on her, will we use it? Yes, we shall. If we use the lockpick, and locked desks and drawers usually yield goodies, as demonstrated by this handily offered first aid spray. The best healing up item in Biohazard 2, in all of Biohazard, and no, I'm not going to use it just now. I do not want to waste first aid sprays on my life if I can avoid it. This will completely restore my vitality. Now, speaking of healing items, unless Claire was told this by Chris way back when, given the fact that she actually used to frequent the Emmy's diner that she went into in the introduction. If that isn't the case, then by all rights, Claire should actually have no idea of what the herbs themselves actually do, since she doesn't have the botany information. Now, for those of you who were with me and who read the botany book and who know of this from having played Biohazard over so many years, there are 3 herbs locally grown in Raccoon City, native to Raccoon City, I might add. They are as follows: the green herb, which I inadvertently used, and I entirely regret using that, which heals physical damage. The second herb is the blue herb, that heals toxins, especially poison, very beneficial in that regard. And the final herb is the red herb, which, although it doesn't do anything by itself, it would be a waste to discard it as such, because it actually has a different purpose. It actually is capable of tripling the healing effect of the green herb, which makes it incredibly invaluable. Therefore, one would want to mix as many green and red herbs as much as possible, because that essentially gives them the same healing capacity of a first aid spray, which is incredibly useful. I would recommend doing so at every given opportunity. But I believe that is it for this room, so we shall mosey our way on forward through the precinct. Yeah, there was something out there. It was dark, and it was just for a second, but we did catch a glimpse of something. Unfortunately, it's too dark to see anything else outside, which is never a good sign. But it seems we have more to worry about than just zombies in Raccoon City. Much more to worry about. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is probably the most ominous camera angle in any Biohazard adventure that I've ever laid eyes on. Nothing unusual here. No, just a table or something over there. And this corridor seems to be in a state of disarray. There appear to be discarded files inside, none of which seem relevant or useful. I should also mention in this brief interim that I will be making the episodes of this Let's Play twice as long as the first episode, which was roughly 30 minutes long. So each episode I will endeavour to try and have at least an hour long, just to make it a bit more interesting. And there is an ominous sound, which seems to be coming from around the corner over there, but it doesn't appear that Claire can actually read the directory on the side here for some reason. And if we can, I certainly haven't figured out how to. And that is a truly ominous sight indeed. There is a corpse on the floor. If we can examine it, the head is missing. It seems to have been twisted off. Well, the good news is that this police officer won't be reanimating as a zombie, or transmogrifying, for that matter. The bad news is that the corpse's decapitation could very well have been caused by whatever it was that was lurking outside the window. In fact, I'm almost certain of it. But examining the corpse will actually yield more handgun bullets. 15 handgun bullets, to be exact, which is fairly useful given the fact that they are in fact police officers, and police officers will actually have handgun bullets. But the important thing to note is this apparatus over here, an open-close switch for the shutter. It can't be activated since the cord is cut. We are going to have to find that cord, and it serves a very important purpose, because as you can see, the windows down the corridor have all been broken, as evidenced by the broken window and the pieces of glass on the floor there. Getting the cord and using it on this machine will actually close the emergency shutters, which will hopefully keep any zombies from breaking in from the outside. Although, given the fact that the events that have been happening outside of Raccoon City have now made their way into the precinct, that's a very forlorn hope indeed. And heading on further, we can see the cause of the sound. A pool with blood dripping from the ceiling. That's truly ominous. And we are still in a very dire condition indeed. But there is a door over here. Unfortunately, it's locked. A spade is etched under the keyhole. Well, adventurers, here marks the return of the puzzle doors. In the mansion, there were the night keys that were that needed to unlock certain doors in the mansion. There were the sword doors, the armor doors, the spade door, and the helmet door. All of them symbolizing pieces of a knight's armor, hence the moniker that I've just given them. Biohazard 2 returns to this motif, except it uses card motifs. A spade is one of the 4 symbols of playing cards, which using simple logic, putting 2 and 2 together, we are probably going to have 3 other sets of card doors as well. The clubs, diamonds, and hearts, completing the card suit motif, as it were. But we are going to have to pass under this pool of blood. Hopefully we can avoid the dripping from above. There is the creature from outside. Oh god! We need to get away. We need to get away as much as possible. And I did glimpse the from the corner there. That was a herb back there. But yeah, I am not going to fight that creature in the condition that I'm in, and I'm certainly not wasting first aid spray in order to do so. And this window is boarded up by another table. But now we know what decapitated that officer there. But that is a new enemy that is unique to Biohazard 2, believe it or not. The silver lining is, again, spoiler warning for those of you who have never played Biohazard 2 in your lives, there are no hunters ever to be found. Claire will not have to fight a single hunter in the entirety of Biohazard 2, and for that I am eternally grateful. However, in their place are the creatures, the first of which we have already just borne witness to. They're almost as dangerous as hunters in my opinion, especially if you're on injured conditions such as yellow corson or worse. But despite the danger that these creatures possess, they're not as notorious as hunters. I would like to emphasize that point. I do not find them as terrifying as hunters. They are terrifying in and of their own right, as we saw in the FMV, but these creatures, while an iconic enemy of Biohazard, is they're not nearly as terrifying as hunters, at least in my view. Now, I'm going to have to ask you to look away from the computer screen for a momentary second, or a moment. There we go. You saw nothing. You saw absolutely nothing. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Okay, something has changed. I'm now on fine health, and I have the green herb back again, but nothing has changed. I can attest that with my hand over my heart. Anyway, there is another file in the room. Operation report. That sounds foreboding. Operation report, September 26th. The Raccoon Police Department was unexpectedly attacked by zombies. Many have been injured, even more were killed. During the attack, our communications equipment was destroyed and we no longer have contact with the outside. We have decided to carry out an operation with the intent of rescuing any possible survivors, as well as to prevent this disaster from spreading beyond Raccoon City. The details of the operation are as follows. Security of armaments and ammunition. Chief Irons has voiced concerns regarding the issue of terrorism due to a series of recent unresolved incidents. On the very day before the zombies' attack, he made the decision to relocate all weapons to scattered intervals throughout the building, as a temporary measure to prevent their possible seizure. Unfortunately, this decision has made it extremely difficult for us to locate all ammunition caches. It has become our top priority to recover these scattered munitions. To unlock the weapon storage. As stated earlier, it will be extremely difficult to secure all the ammunition. However, a considerable supply still remains in the underground weapon storage. Unfortunately, the person in charge of the card key used to access the weapon storage is missing, and we've been unable to locate the key. One of the breakers went down during the battle, and the electronic locks are not functioning in certain areas. It has become a top priority to restore power in the power room and secure these locks. Well, that's not good. Operation report, September 27th, 1 p.m. The west barricade has been broken through and another exchange ensued. We sheltered the injured on the confiscation room on the first floor temporarily. 12 more people were injured in the battle. Recorder David Ford, who's also the recorder of the previous report. Additional report. 3 additional people were killed following the sudden appearance of an as-of-yet unknown creature. This creature is identified by missing patches of skin and razor-like claws. However, its most distinguishing characteristic is its lance-like tongue, capable of piercing a human torso in an instant. Their numbers as well as their location remains unknown. We have tentatively named this creature the Licker, and are currently in the process of developing countermeasures to deal with this new threat. Well, now we at least have a bit more information on the creature that we encountered, even if the term was coined by the surviving police officers themselves. But it stands to reason that this Licker, as it has been remembered throughout the biohazard community, is possibly another byproduct, or heaven forbid, a genuine bioorganic weapon, or BOW, a creature deliberately manufactured and created by the biological experiments of the Umbrella Corporation. Now, as I said before, lickers are not, well, lickers have a few disadvantages in comparison to hunters, or things that actually make them easier to deal with hunters. For one thing, as we saw in the FMV, they do not have eyes, and if you were able to carefully move past them, you can actually avoid getting swatted by them. Of course, if they do attack you, you either have to fight or flight. It's one or the other. Now, their tongue attack is incredibly annoying because they can attack you from a distance, which is pretty devastating, but the thing that puts them on par with the hunters is the fact that they actually do lunge at you with their one of their claws, and they can actually, if this attack hits you on anything less than fine caution, it could very well kill you. It is essentially the equivalent of the hunter's infamous decapitation ability, but the licker's slow movements, despite the fact that they can crawl around on the walls and ceiling in much the same way as Chimera from the Arclay laboratory can do, their slower movements do actually make them easier to avoid than hunters. Hunters are fast, they can run circles around you, they can jump all over the place, and in some instances, hunters actually have been known to decapitate people even on fine health. There was someone who even claimed that during the first encounter with a hunter, they were decapitated almost immediately after the cutscene. Whether or not this is true is something that can never be proven. However, if it is the case, that just shows you how completely broken hunters are. For people who say on the internet and in biohazard forums that lickers are far more terrifying than hunters, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. The Operation 1 report has been filed. Okay, minor rant over. Now we can actually start exploring the rest of this room, which appears to be a meeting room of the officers in question. It looks like there was a recent accident here. I believe the term is no shit. There was a recent accident here. You just bore witness to it. It looks like an operation map. Appears to be a diagram of the precinct itself. Why we don't get, why this is not update our map of the police station itself is questionable at best. I really don't know why that doesn't happen. It really should, since Claire now knows the layout of the first floor of the police station. Doesn't appear to be anything on the shelves or anything noteworthy. Empty soda cans and junk. Nothing else. Oh hey, there's regular coffee. Unfortunately, we can't drink it at this point. And we probably, well, Claire probably does have some money on her person, although that won't do her any good in this situation. But there is a room behind here, and doesn't look like there are any zombies or enemies lurking around in this instance. But also doesn't appear to be any handgun bullets or ammunition of any kind as well. There is something over here. Fireplace. An oil painting hangs above it. The title is A Sacrifice to the Hellfire. Now this appears to be somewhat reminiscent of the fireplace puzzle, or not quite a puzzle, the fireplace in the mansion, although Claire has no actual idea of this as of yet. If we had the lighter in our possession in the mansion, we could use it on the fireplace to get the map of the second floor. And I'm suspecting that this fireplace actually works in the exact same way. But as I just mentioned, Claire does not have the lighter in question, she has the lockpick. So we're actually going to have to find a lighter, all on our lonesome. But I believe that is it for the meeting room at the moment. We will be back later though, don't you worry. I will be backtracking. It's not Biohazard, well, it's not Biohazard or Biohazard 2 if it's not backtracking. And it's a good thing these walls are barricaded, although they appear to have been made in a hurry, so they might not hold. And this first floor music is truly setting the tone indeed. Something is written here. Please keep quiet while meetings are in session. So this basically tells us that the room we were just in moments ago was the meeting room in question. And I believe we've explored quite a bit of the west area of the police station so far, which is pretty good. But although this particular corridor has no enemies in it, it's safe to say that this won't be the case for other rooms. We need to be on our guard. Case in point. Oh god. Oh! No, this isn't good. Oh. This isn't good, and there is significant lag here. There is significant emulation lag there. And I'm incredibly sorry for that. That's one zombie down, but there are still several more to go. Need to count my shots. This is good. No, don't run forward. Oh, that was bad timing on my part. Reload there, you're going to get up. And I'm in a slightly worse position than I was before. And I probably wasted a bullet there. I'm on danger. That is incredibly disconcerting. I'm now on danger. As you can see there, Claire is limping quite badly now. It's too dark to see anything outside this window. That is very unfortunate. That corridor was incredibly annoying because it is often you have the two zombies either side of you, and you actually have very little time to react to. If you can run past the zombie woman on the end of the corridor, you can actually line yourself up for some decent attacks. Unfortunately, there are a couple of green herbs here. This is probably Biohazard 2 punishing me once again, and this is real survival. And I'm afraid that, well, if I had done a little bit better during this, I wouldn't have to use these two mixed herbs. Yes, you can combine herbs together, but in lieu of using the first aid spray, I'm going to use the two green herbs. I will keep the third one as well. I should also mention that for some reason the healing feature in Biohazard 2 was changed. In Biohazard, if your health was full, then you didn't really need to use any more healing items, but even if Claire is on fine in Biohazard 2, you can use, for some reason you're able to basically eat up herbs even though they serve absolutely no purpose whatsoever. Why that feature was changed, I couldn't even begin to tell you what they were thinking. But, as we saw down here, I'll show it again, don't leave the dark room door open. The dark room is indeed this room down here. And lo and behold, it is the second the first save room, but the second save area in the game. With that iconic Biohazard 2 save room theme. Significantly different from the original Biohazard save theme, which was more light-hearted, signaling a place of refuge and respite. This save room theme fulfills the same purpose, although its ominous melodies actually, and there are some more handgun bullets hidden here in the cupboard here, good to know. The melodies of this particular save theme, you may be safe, but it's only, that safety is short-lived. There appears to be a file on the desk behind the typewriter. Operation Report 2. Operation Report, September 28th. Early morning, 2:30 AM. Zombies overran the operation room and another battle broke out. We lost 4 more people, including David. So it seems that David Ford didn't make it. Commiserations. Condolences. We're down to 4 people, including myself. We failed to secure the weapons cache, and hopes for our survival continues to diminish. We won't last much longer. We agreed upon a plan to escape through the sewer. There's a path leading from the Precinct underground to the sewage disposal plant. We should be able to access the sewers through there. The only drawback is that there is no guarantee the sewage disposal plant is free of any possible dangers. We know our chances in the sewers are slim, but anything is better than simply waiting here to die. In order to buy more time, we locked the only door leading to the underground, which is located in the eastern office. So it looks like we'll have to be going there at some point. We left the key behind in the western office since it's unlikely that any of those creatures have the intelligence to find it and unlock the door. I pray that this operation report will be helpful to whoever may find it or whomever may find it. Recorder, Elliot Edward. Well, this only confirms what we already knew, that in the end, even the Raccoon Police Department couldn't defend itself against the events of the downfall of Raccoon City. But we did glean a little bit more information, that the surviving officers attempted to escape from the precinct and possibly the city itself by means of the sewer system. However, Raccoon is a very large city, and it stands to reason that as Elliot Edward has mentioned in this report, the sewers could very well be crawling with creatures just like the city and the police station. But we do know that there is a key leading to the underground in the western office, which just so happens to be the very same office that Marvin was in. Why he couldn't have given us this key to begin with is also beyond me. Would have been very nice, but I can't entirely fault him given his injuries. But unfortunately, there is a downside to this. The keycard to the weapon storage in the underground is unfortunately missing, and we're going to have to find it, since the person who had it is most certainly been killed. the operation report has been filed. As the sign outside mentioned, this is a dark room, and lo and behold, so it is. I can develop film here. Now, the film, there are a few sets of film roll, I think, that are scattered throughout the police station, and they're basically more files, which will give us even more insight into the situation that we are currently in at the moment. It's an old typewriter. If I had an ink ribbon, I could save my progress. Well, fortunately, lo and behold, there are at least 2 ink ribbons right next to it, just in case. But before I save, there is one final thing to note. The storage lock over here, next to the door, unfortunately it's locked. A special kind of key is required to open it. Well, we don't have the special key at this point, and since this is a save room, this is obviously an item box. But remember, adventurers, this is a real survival stipulation, which means that I cannot retrieve the knife and the first ink ribbon from this item box. I have to go back to the other item box in the other room in order to do so. I know it's repetitive, but it's worth mentioning because, after all, I am doing this Let's Play of Biohazard 2 on real survival. But since I have some ink ribbons in hand, I am actually going to save again. I won't be saving as much as I did in the original Let's Play. In fact, I should try and save as sparsely as possible. This will be the second save of the Let's Play, but it's worth it. So there it is, the second, first save, I should say, because of my little thing there, but which I shall never bring up again, so yeah. Fine, I will save again. I will save again and have this as officially as my second save. So I don't cheat. I will not cheat. And I fucked up. I fucked up. I put the memory card 1. This is what happens, adventurers, if I select memory card 1. This doesn't happen in anything other than Biohazard 2. For some reason in Biohazard 2, every time I use memory card 1, it freezes, and I can't do anything. But fortunately, silver lining, I just saved, so I don't have to record this episode again. But this is just to show you what happened, or what happens if I try to save on memory card 1 on the simulator, which I totally didn't intend to do. But I did save, so I'm going to almost certainly call this an episode. I know it's not an hour long, but it is, we're close. We're about 10 minutes short of an hour's worth of episode. But this is a pretty hilarious way to end the episode. But since I did save, I will be able to load from the save. And I won't be using a save state or redoing this all over again. So, with that I leave you, adventurers, and in the next episode we shall continue exploring the rest of the first floor of the precinct before moving up to the second floor, using the stairs just outside the dark room. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.